Good morning and welcome to Discovering the Word. This morning we're going to start reading Genesis 1 and see how far it takes us. And we'll start with prayer. Lord, I pray that you'll take these words that are written and fill our hearts and minds. Give us your spirit. Show us your words. I pray this in your name. Amen. So I'm starting with the New King James Version of Genesis 1. And it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. Then God said, 'Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Let it divide the waters from the waters.' Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. Then God said, 'Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear.' And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, 'Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth.' And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, the herb that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the third day. Then God said, 'Let there be lights in the firmaments of heavens, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens, to give light on the earth.' And it was so. Then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light to the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the fourth day. Then God said, 'Let the waters abound with an abundance of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the face of the firmament of the heavens.' So God created great sea creatures, and every living thing that moves, with which the waters abounded, according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, 'Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth.' So the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Then God said, 'Let the earth bring forth the living creatures according to its kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth, each according to its kind.' And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, 'Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And God said, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. Also to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is life. I have given every green herb for food, and it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and indeed was very good. So the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to read another version, just to give us a little different flavor, different understanding. I like to go to a very early version. It's the Wycliffe version that was written in 1382. So it's written in Middle English. It makes it a little bit more difficult to read, but it's not impossible, and the same thoughts and words are conveyed just a little differently than what we're used to. And then we'll take a look at the words. In the beginning, God made of naught heaven and earth. Forsooth, the earth was idle and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Depth, and the Spirit of the Lord was born on the waters. And God said, light be made, and the light was made. And God saw the light, that it was good, and he parted the light from the darknesses. And he called the light day, and darknesses night. And the eventide and the morrowtide was made one day. And God said, the firmament be made in the midst of the waters, and part the waters from waters. And God made the firmament and parted the waters that were under the firmament from the waters that were on the firmament. And it was done so. And God called the firmament the heavens, and the eventide and the morrowtide was made the second day. For since God said, the waters that be under heaven be gathered into one place, and a dry place appear, and it was done so. And God called the dry place earth, and he called the gatherings together of waters the seas. And God saw that it was good. And said, the earth bring forth green herb, and making seed, and an apple tree making fruit by his kind, whose seed be in itself on the earth. And it was done so. And the earth brought forth green herb, making seed by his kind, and a tree making fruit, and each having seed by his kind. God saw that it was good. And the eventide and morrowtide was made the third day. For since God said, lights be made in the firmament of heaven, and part they the day and night, and be they into signs and times and days and years, and shine those in the firmament of heaven, and lighten they the earth, and it was done so. God made two great lights, the greater light that it should be before to the day, and the lesser light that it should be before to the night. And God made stars, and setted them in the firmament of heaven, so that they should shine on the earth, and that they should be before to the day and to the night, and should part the light and darkness. And God saw that it was good. And eventide and morrowtide marl tide was made the fourth day. Also God said, the waters bring forth a reptile, either a creeping beast of a living soul, and a volatile, either a bird flying above the earth under the firmament of heaven. And God made of not great wells, each living soul immovable, which the waters had brought forth in their kinds. And God made of not each volatile by his kind. And God saw that it was good, and blessed them, and said, wax ye and be ye multiplied, fill ye the waters of the sea, and the birds be multiplied on the earth. And the eventide and marl tide was made the fifth day. And God said, the earth bring forth a living soul in his kind, work beast, reptiles, either creeping beast and unreasonable beast of the earth by their kinds. And it was done so. And God made unreasonable beasts of the earth by their kind, and work beasts, and each creeping beast of the earth in his kind. And God saw that it was good, and said, Make we man to our image and likeness, and be he sovereign to the fishes of the sea, and to the volatiles of the heaven, and to the unreasonable beast of the earth, and to each creature, and to each creeping beast, each reptile which is moved in the earth. And God made of not a man to his image and likeness. God made of not a man to the image of God. God made of not them male and female. And God blessed them, and said, increase ye, and be ye multiplied. Fill ye the earth, and make ye it subject. Be ye lords to the fishes of the sea, and to the volatiles of the heaven, and to all living beasts that be moved on earth. And God said, Lo, I have given to you each herb bearing seed on the earth, and all trees that have in themselves the seed of their kind, that they be into meat to you, and to all living beasts of the earth, and to each bird of the heaven, and to all things that be moved in the earth, and in which is a living soul, that they have them to eat. And it was done so. God saw all the things which he made, and they were full good. And the eventide and the marl tide was made the sixth day. So I got one more, maybe two, one more version I for sure want to read. This is a paraphrase. It's unlike the New King James and the Wycliffe, which is more of a direct translation. This is the New Living Translation, and it goes thought for thought. And so with the New Living Translation, it reads, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and the earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good. Then he separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness night. And the evening passed, and morning came, marking the first day. Then God said, let there be a space between the waters, to separate the waters of the heavens from the waters of the earth. And that is what happened. God made this space to separate the waters of the earth from the waters of heaven. God called the space sky. And evening passed and morning came, marking the second day. And God said, let the waters beneath the sky flow together into one place, so dry ground may appear. And that is what happened. God called the dry ground land and the waters seas. God saw that it was good. And God said, let the land sprout with vegetation, every sort of seed-bearing plant, and trees that grow seed-bearing fruit. These seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees from which they came. And that is what happened. The land produced vegetation, all sorts of seed-bearing plants and trees with seed-bearing fruit. Their seeds produced plants and trees of the same kind, and God saw that it was good. And evening passed and morning came, marking the third day. Then God said, let the lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. Let them be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years. Let these lights in the sky shine down on the earth. And that is what happened. God made two great lights, the larger one to govern the day, the smaller one to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set these lights in the sky to light the earth, to govern the day and night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And evening passed and morning came, marking the fourth day. Then God said, let the waters swarm with fish and other life. Let the skies be filled with birds of every kind. So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that scurries and swarms in the water, and every sort of bird, each producing offspring of the same kind. God saw that it was good. Then God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply. Let the fish fill the seas. Let the birds multiply on the earth. And evening passed and morning came, marking the fifth day. Then God said, let the earth produce every sort of animal, each producing offspring of the same kind, livestock, small animals that scurry around the ground, and wild animals. And that is what happened. God made all sort of wild animals, livestock, and small animals, each able to produce offspring of the same kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us, and they will reign over fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and the livestock of all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground. So God created human beings in his own image, and in the image of God he created them, male and female. And he created them. And then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, govern it, reign over the fish of the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along that ground. Then God said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth, and all the fruit trees for your food, and I have given every green plant as food for all the wild animals, the birds in the sky, and the small animals that scurry along the ground. Everything has life, and that is what happened. Then God looked over all he had made, and he saw that it was very good. Evening passed and morning came, marking the sixth day. So the New Living Translation is very much a paraphrase, and not very close to the original translation, but it makes it easier to read. So I'm gonna go to one more version, and this has got a Jewish slant on the reading. So there's going to be words that I probably won't be able to pronounce, but I'll do my best. So starting in verse 1, it reads, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was unformed and void. Darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the surface of the water. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So there was evening, and there was morning one day. God said, let there be a dome in the middle of the water. Let it divide the water from the water. God made the dome, and divided the water under the dome from the water above the dome. That is how it was. And God called the dome sky. So there was evening and there was morning, a second day. God said, let the water under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let dry land appear. And that is how it was. And God called the dry land earth, the gathering together of the water he called seas. And God saw that it was good. God said, let the earth put forth grass, seed-producing plants, and fruit trees, each yielding its own kind of seed-bearing fruit on the earth. That is how it was. And the earth brought forth grass, plants, each yielding its own kind of seed, and trees, each producing its own kind of seed-bearing fruit. And God saw that it was good. So there was evening and there was morning, a third day. And God said, let there be lights in the dome of the sky to divide the day from the night. Let them be for signs, seasons, days, and years. Let them be for lights in the dome of the sky to give light to the earth. And that is how it was. And God made the two great lights, the larger light to rule the day, and the smaller light to rule the night, and the stars. God put them in the dome of the sky to give light to the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. So there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. God said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth in the open dome of the sky. God created the great sea creatures and every living thing that creeps, so the waters swarmed with all kinds of them. And there was every kind of winged bird, and God saw that it was good. Then God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the waters of the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth. So there was evening and there was morning, a fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth each kind of living creature, each kind of livestock, crawling animal, and wild beast. And that is how it was. God made each kind of wild beast, each kind of livestock, and every kind of animal that crawls along the ground. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make humankind in our image, in the likeness of ourselves, and let them rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, and the animals, and over all the earth, and over every crawling creature that crawls on the earth. So God created humankind in his own image, and in the image of God he created him, male and female. He created them. God blessed them. God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the air, and every living creature that crawls on the earth. Then God said, here, throughout the whole earth, I have given you as food every seed-bearing plant, and every tree with seed-bearing fruit. To every wild animal, bird in the air, and creature crawling on the earth, in which there is a living soul, I'm giving as food every kind of green plant. And that is how it was. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. So there was evening and there was morning, a sixth day. And that will finish the readings. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to go back to what I'll call my basic version. Let's see, I'll go back to King James and look at the words. And I'm gonna focus on the first verse to start with. Okay. So you see, it's a pretty straightforward, simple verse. So I'm gonna take a look at the other translations. There's on Bible Gateway, there's 56 translations of the same verse, or the 56 English translations of the Bible. In this case, I got 56 translations of the first verse. I like to look at the differences in how they're written in the notes and brackets that are within each of the versions. So the first thing I see in this King James 21 is, in the beginning God created the heaven. There's no S to it, so it's singular rather than plural. So that's the first thing I've noticed in this version. Then I come down to the Amplified version, and it gives us a little information. God, it could be also Elohim, okay? And then the next verse, it says created. So it draws out the word created a little bit more by putting it in brackets, by saying, by forming from nothing the heavens and the earth. Okay, and then we go to, I'm not sure what, this is the Amplified, another Amplified version. It says, in the beginning God prepared, formed, fashioned, and created the heavens of the earth. Not sure I like that, because that takes away the forming from nothing aspect of it. So again, I scroll down and I'm seeing some with the S and some without the S, some being plural, some being singular. So we look at it, okay, and I come down to English Revised Version. It says God created the sky. So now sky is synonymous with heaven. And then we'll continue looking. They look basically the same until I come to the EXB. EXB likes to bring out all the possible readings of words and phrases. So it says in the beginning, or in the beginning when God created, and then it has the note, this Hebrew verb is used only when God is the one creating. So only God can speak into existence from nothing. So that's the word created. So the EXB brings out that word in particular. And then it says he created the sky. So it uses synonymous with heaven or heavens and the earth. Now the Geneva Bible, it's kind of choppy to me, so I don't usually refer to it. But you can see here, it's still the basic same reading. God created the heavens and the earth, the light and the darkness, the firmament, and he separated. So you can see it also skips. It skips from verses to verses. Okay. And we'll keep on going. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. There's the singular again. Now, this translation, let's see, what translation is it? Good News Translation. Okay. So this is a paraphrase. The universe is a modern day word. So it's a paraphrase and put it in modern day. Let's put it in modern day English. It created the universe. We can use this word. I particularly when we're talking about the beginning, I'd like to use the words that were originally given. Then let's see. We keep going. God created the heavens and the earth. There's sky. There's universe. The heavens, and there you see the plural and singular. I think God created the heavens and the earth. Um, the Message, I don't believe is a great translation, but even still, we can get good information. Discernment should be used when reading these versions that are, or translations that are not direct translations and more paraphrase. So it should be careful to understand what is being said and that it doesn't depart from the original meaning of the words. So I'm going to go ahead and read the Message. It says first this: God created the heavens and the earth. All you see, all you don't see. Earth was a soup of nothingness, a bottomless emptiness, an inky blackness. God's spirit brooded like a bird over the water abyss. So this reading is not just the first verse; it's actually several verses combined. And when we get to it, I'll come back to a bottomless emptiness and an inky blackness. I'll come back to that. That has meaning later. Also, a soup of nothingness. Okay, so that has meaning, and we'll come back to that whenever we get to the second verse. So I'll keep going. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then name of God. I like to use the name of God translation whenever I want to see how God is being referred to, what name is being used. In this case, as we read in the KJ 21, it's Elohim, um, and we'll look at that word also closer when we come back to it. So we continue to look. We look at the same basic reading. There's sky again. Okay, and the New Living Version brings out the word created. It says made from nothing. Okay, the heavens and the earth, and then we keep scrolling down. Uh, the Orthodox Jewish Bible, it says in the beginning, Elohim created Hashomayim, the heavens, Himmel, and Haaretz, the earth. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Okay, I'll keep reading and scrolling down. Um, the Voice is another paraphrase, not a very good translation, but still it has good verses in it that can be used. It says, in the beginning, God created everything, the heavens above and the earth below. Here's what happened. So that puts it very distinctly. It doesn't call it out very precisely like the other readings, but it still gives the same ideal. And then I have the version that I prefer because it's 1382 and it's written in Middle English. That's the Wycliffe version. I like to read it because it takes away, or it doesn't have the modern day words used, and it's a time um, closer to the early writings of the Bible. And it says in the beginning, God made of naught heaven and earth. So that's again, it brings out that made from nothing. Okay, so that's a look at all the translations, and so I want to go and look back and start breaking down the words. So I go to in the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to look at each individual words, the heavens and the earth, and see how it's used in Scripture. I'm going to start with um, in the beginning. So I'm going to let's go to um, let's go to the Blue Letter Bible and see how that's written. Go Blue Letter. Okay, and I'm going to read it from New King James. I'll read Genesis. Okay, what we have in Genesis 1:1, I'm going to break it down for each individual word. You can see here it's written in Hebrew. Okay. I don't do Hebrew, so I did the best I can with the English words. Starting um, starting with in the beginning, it's a phrase. Let's see what that says. Okay, so then what this does, it's giving when in the beginning when this phrase is used in the rest of the Bible. So you can see it actually appears many times the same use of the word in the beginning, or the same phrase in the beginning. Now I like to look at this because uh, there's the saying of let the Bible interpret the Bible, and so I like to look at the other uses in this case, the use of in the beginning, and see how it appears. So, actually, I'm going to go back. I'm going to stay with Genesis 1, and we'll look at the Strong's translation. Rashith, and so let's hear how it sounds, how it's correctly pronounced.
Strong's H 7225. Reshith, Reshith. Second entry. Reshith, Reshith.
All right. So now we know how to say that first word, Strong 7225, Reshith, and it is the first, the beginning, the best, the chief, and then you got the sub definitions of beginning, first, chief, and choice part. Okay, and you got some more breakdown, and it gives you more verses. I think the phrase I look at is firstborn, first fruits of things created by Him. So it has a deeper meaning than just the phrase of in the beginning. So let's go back. So we got Reshith. Now here you can see it has Elohim. So let's hear how it's pronounced. Let's look at the word Elohim.
Strong's H 430, entry 1. Eloach, Eloach. Second entry. Elohim, Elohim. And the third entry, Eloach, Eloach.
Okay. So there's actually three ways to pronounce that word. And you can see here the outline of biblical uses. Rulers or judges, divine ones, angels, and gods. And that's gods with a small g. The second one is plural intensive with a singular meaning. Again, god or goddesses with small g's. God-like one, works or special possessions of God. The true God, or here we go, capital G, God. So again, you got plural intensive with singular meaning. So you have this word is indicative of the Trinity. Elohim is Trinity, comprehensive with singular meaning. So the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Okay, let's go back and get the next word. Created, and let's see what it says. We see there bara, okay, bara. So let's see how it's pronounced.
Strong's H 1254. Bara. Bara.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to roll the tongue like that. Bara. Okay, and then let's look at the meaning. It says to create, shape, or form. And I'll get into this word a little more later on. There's a difference between the create to speak into existence and the form and shape from something that already exists. So you got the breakdowns. The qual is to shape, fashioning, or create, always with God as subject, and that is of heaven and earth. So God created heaven and earth, individual man, and then it says of new conditions and circumstances and transformations. Nifal, to be created of heaven and earth, of birth, of something new, of miracles. And Pael, to cut down, to cut out. And the second meaning is to be fat. Hyphil, to make yourselves fat. Okay. I'm going to read the Strong's definition in this case. It says, bara, a primitive root, absolutely to create, qualified to cut down, a wood, select, feed, as formative process, choose, create, creator, cut down, dispatch, do, make. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's go to the next verse, or next word. The heaven. Okay, let's see what the heaven is. Okay, so this, again, it shows the use of the heaven, the use of this word. There's plenty of discussion on the word, the heaven. Let's go and see how to pronounce it. Shamayim. Shamayim.
Strong's H 8064. Shamayim. Shamayim.
Shamayim. Okay. All right, so let's come down and see how it's used. So here you see the translations, what we've just read. Heavens or sky. So all three uses are correct, and we can talk more about that. Heavens and sky. And then a sub to that is visible heavens and sky. And then beneath that is as above the stars. And that's the visible universe, the sky and atmosphere. Again, there's a modern day definition, okay? And then this one is heaven as the abode of God. So here it's actually bringing out not very clearly, but it brings out the three heavens. And again, there's verses that support this. There's the heaven where the birds fly, or the sky. There's the heaven where the stars, the sun, moon, and stars are at, and that's also the visible universe. And then there's the place where God is. That's the third heaven. Okay. So let's keep going. Let's go to, um, and I don't think there's much question about this one, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. And it's eighth,
Strong's H 853. Eighth. Eighth.
all right. I think I got that one right. And let's see what the definition is. Sign of the defined direct object, not translated in English, but generally preceding and indicating the accusative. Okay. Apparent contracted from H226 in the demonstrative sense of entity, properly self, but generally used to point out more definitely the object of a verb or preposition, even or namely, as such unrepresented in English. Okay. So I didn't know there was that much definition for the simple word and or eighth. Okay. All right. We'll skip that part and we'll come back. Let's go back to the next word, the earth, and it says eres. Okay, so let's see how to pronounce it. Eres, eretz. Let's see how close I came.
Strong's H 776. Eretz. Eretz.
All right, eretz, eretz. Of course, I'm not going to be able to roll the tongue as well as that guy can roll his tongue. So eretz, and it says from an unused root, probably meaning to be firm. Excuse me. Okay, so let's come down and read what it says. So it appears that land and earth are synonymous. Again, because I like to stay close to the original translation, then we'll stay with earth. In this case, there's earth, the meaning is the whole earth as opposed to a part. Earth as opposed to heaven, and then there's earth inhabitants. Okay, and then the second definition, which I could see the difference in how it changes it, it says land as in a country or territory, district, region, tribal territory, piece of ground, land of Canaan, Israel, inhabitants of land. And then number 7 is Sheol, land without return, or the underworld. And then land is city or state. We've also got ground, as in the surface of the earth, ground and soil. In phrases, people of the land, space or distance of country. In measurements of distance, a level or plain country. That's interesting. And then there's the land of the living, end of the earth. Almost wholly late in usage, lands, countries, often in contrast to Canaan. Okay, so there's the Strong's, the definition or outline. No, this is the outline of biblical usage. It says the outline of biblical usage was created by Larry Pierce, creator of the online Bible, and is used for permission. For further information, click on this tool. Okay, so let's see. Eretz, from an unused root, probably mean to be firm. The earth at large, or partitively a land, common, country, earth, field, ground, land, nations, way, wilderness, world. Okay. All right. And then we have Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon, or lexicon for short. The common, more rare, than Genesis 13:6 and Isaiah 9:18, especially when a land is put for the inhabitants. That's what we were reading in the definitions before. Let's see, what else can we find here? Okay, so that covers the first verse. What I'd like to do now is something a little bit different, and we'll take this word and I'm going to plug it in here and see where it's used. And in this case, there's 107 times the same word is used, and you're going to see the definition come out like we read in the Blue Letter Bible. Going to see those definitions come out. Of course, there's the Genesis 1 account. Then there's in the beginning of his kingdom. So this was the first kingdom. The word is used in the beginning. So it was the very first, very start. Okay, and I'm not going to read all of them, but I will scroll past and say, let's see. Okay, so here's another use for it. It says, Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might and beginning. So it's the firstborn, as we were reading before. Okay, and it describes as you are my firstborn, my might, my strength, excellency of dignity, and excellency of power. So that's the description for the firstborn. This month shall be your beginning of months, so it's used as a time. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Okay. Let's see. Again, here's a use for it. The beginning of the months, time, year. Okay. There's the firstborn, beginning of his strength, and I'm gonna skip down. Let's look at see what Job and David says. Though your beginning was small, yet your latter end would increase abundantly. I'd have to look at that a little bit closer. Then the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep. Okay. Again, this is the days of Job. And then, so now it's talking a little bit more abstract. It says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So you really start to understand things when you accept the Lord and He becomes Lord of your life. You're at the start of wisdom. Okay, and in this case, you can see the word Lord is capitalized, so that would denote Elohim. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, it also says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. So knowledge and wisdom, they go together nicely. They fit together, pretty much inseparable. The knowledge is knowing what to do, and wisdom is knowing when to do it. So they go together nicely. They're twins. It has been expressed. Okay, so we'll go back up here, back to the beginning here. I want to jump to the New Testament and see how it's used. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out. So this was an event happening. Okay. Okay, so now this is talking about the first creation of when God spoke into existence. And it says, and he answered and said to them, have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female? Okay, so that's speaking of God's initial creation. Okay, and then he said to them, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, permitted you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning, that is from the start of time, it was not so. It was not what God wanted. So when evening had come, the owner of the vineyard sent to his steward, call the laborers and give them their wages, beginning with the last. So now we're talking about order. Okay. And then this is talking about the last days. It's another time period. And then there will be great tribulation that has not been since the beginning of the world until this time. No, nor ever shall be. And the tribulation will be something that's never been seen before. And it references from the very beginning, nothing has ever happened like this. Again, it's referencing a time period. All right. So, let's see, let's go to the next word. Okay, God. God is used many different ways throughout the Bible, and I don't know that it really needs a lot of explanation here. This is the fourth word used in the very first verse. It's Elohim, and again, it's used throughout the Bible. It has different names. God doesn't need to explain who it is. This is God writing these words through Moses. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next word, which is created, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about, where this word is very specifically used in certain places. I believe that it is. It's not as careful use as it should be in some translations, but I believe we can see it as it comes out. So let's start with the New King James. And of course, there's the first created. So you can see the use of the word created. God created, and then God created. So it's used 3 times in the first chapter in this particular word. And then each of these created refers back to this first chapter of created. So no matter how far we go into the Bible, you can see it refers back to that first creation. In that day, God created man. Okay, He created them male and female. I will destroy man whom I have created. God created man on the earth. Okay, You have created them, the north and south. You have created to bear and Hermon rejoice in your name. Remember how short my time is. For what futility have you created all the children of men? So that's a different use of the word created. Um, this will be written for the generation to come, that a people yet to be created may praise the Lord. And I think this may be a bad use of the word created. In fact, I know I'm going to keep on going. I'll come back to it. You send forth your spirit, they are created. You renew the face of the earth. So here your spirit, they are created. So a person can't be a living being without God's spirit. And in this case, God's spirit is a part of being created, speaking into existence. Let them praise the name of the Lord, for he commanded, and they were created. Again, referred back to that first use of the word. Okay, so I will skip out to, let's go to Romans and see how Paul uses the word created. So it says, nor height, nor depth, nor any other created thing. So we know that God created everything, so there's nothing to be able to separate us from the love of God. He uses that to draw out the emphasis of created. Okay, so let's look at one more. Let's look at Corinthians. Okay, it says, nor was man created for the woman, but woman for the man. So the woman was created as a helpmate to the man. Not as a slave, but as a helpmate. I want to look at one more. Let's go to Revelation, and let's see what it says. In Revelation 4:7, you are worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things. Again, I think this is not a great translation. I think the word should actually be made or formed. And by your will they exist and they were created. Now this one is spoken to existence. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to look at this word and look at the other translations. And I think you'll see other translations say the word made. Okay, I'm going to go to my preferred version, the early version before 1382, early version. Thou, Lord our God, art worthy to take glory and honor and virtue, for thou madest of not all things. Okay, so there actually is made of not, created, spoken to existence, all things. For thy will those were, and for thy will they were, and made of not. So the emphasis is created out of nothing. Okay. So that was a good side trip. I was wrong about that. That actually is a good translation. And both of them is to speak existence from nothing. Speak into existence from nothing. All right. I think I'm going to stop here because I think I've run out of time for this one. So I'm going to pick up tomorrow and I'm going to continue with the first verse and then we'll get into the second verse. So I'm stopping at created and we'll go with the heavens and the earth starting tomorrow. Okay? All right. That'll be it. Lord, thank you for revealing your words to us. I pray, Lord, that you'll enrich our hearts and minds. I pray this in your